Kia ora and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
I'm Matthew, and today I'm in the hot seat, or the naughty seat as Dave calls it, because we're in the new Volkswagen Multivan.
That's right, the new Multivan has gone, or the popular people mover has gone PHEV. So it's all electric, well, electric at times. Come, let's take a look at this. As with pretty much all car brands now, VW is going down the electric path or the zero emissions path. What they've launched recently is their Way to Zero, which encompasses not just the lifestyle of the lifespan of the vehicle from production to vehicle to after this finally dies, but also it's a culture thing. So they're basically being good to the planet, good to their staff, good to pets, animals, actually good to everybody, and that is pretty much along with the same lines that they are the people's car and people's things, so that's really good. From the commercial side of things, this is their first electric vehicle, or PHEV as we want to call it on this. So it's their first step into this Way to Zero, and it's why not start with their good people version or people mover, and it's such a good vehicle. Now, normally this would be called the T7, which is basically the move on for the one that was the T6.1. Technically, it's not a T because the T is to do with transporter. This is now more basically a people mover from the ground up, so it's a more passenger vehicle, so it would be sort of like the P7. I know it all sounds a bit vague, but essentially it's now on the MQB platform, so more in line with their Tiguans and their Touaregs and stuff like that. So even from the ground up, it's now built to be a passenger vehicle and an electric vehicle, so hopefully that basically sums that up. Looking around of it, it's bigger in terms of width and also length than the other version of it, and it's now slightly smaller, so it's a little bit more, I don't know, more squat, I don't know, but it's not really what you call squat. Design wise, look at it, you've got this silver trim that goes all the way down the side, well, front and all down the side back to the rear, which we'll get to in a minute. It's more sleek, more wind dynamic or aerodynamic as far as it goes with there. The lights here are LEDs and matrix LEDs, so very much great at night, and also blocks out those things that you can see from there. But also look at it, it's just very much all sort of sleek and molded in now. There are basically two models in New Zealand that have come out with the PHEV side of things. One is the base model and the other is the energetic. So the base model actually gets just under the $80,000 mark, which then gives you that rebate, or qualifies for the rebate for the EV or emission side of things. This one is around about 106 grand, so it's getting up there, but you get everything with this one, including this brilliant color scheme. Now this is the Solo Silver and Energetic Orange, and many people have actually said it looks a bit like a sort of a burrito because it's kind of matched with that sort of the silver. Anyway, you'll work that out. The rest of it, looking around, look, there's 18-inch feet down there, which is again the option from here. I want to bring your attention to the PHEV side of things, which is this here, and this will do the sort of wall box charging or your trickle charging, and it basically charges up the 13 kilowatt hour battery. I'll get to all the rest of the stuff very soon, but there you go, there's your plug-in side of things from there. The other thing that's not plugged in is these doors. Look at that, opens up, and both sides, you can open up both sides, and also they'll close as well. Ah, brilliant. Let's look around the rear. The rear is more creative as well. You've got the roofline spoiler, which actually comes straight out here, and you can see sort of covers up a little bit of the glass here. This tailgate is now plastic, so it's fully so it's part of the rest of the panels that are, there's a mixture of plastic and also aluminium, and also the other bit under the wheel arches, which I should have gone through, is now recycled plastic. So they're using the best of they can for this Way to Zero sort of thing, using less resources or drawing less from the earth as we want. You see the rest of these lights here, this is the remnants of the silver bit that goes around the whole side, and also LED tail lights. You've got Multivan now written in languages, or sorry, written in letters, written in letters. Also the tailgate opens to get you inside to just a huge configuration of seats, and we'll go through those in a minute. But even the naughty seat, which my son really needs to sit in a lot, it closes as well. Let's look under the bonnet. What we have here is a 1.4 litre ICE engine, and that's married to an 85 kilowatt electrical motor. Together they give you 160 kilowatts of power and 350 newton meters of torque. When it comes to efficiency, if you use the level 3 WLTP, you've got it down to about 1.1 litre per 100 kilometers. And also when it comes to emissions, it can actually get down to around about 12 grams per kilometer. So this is very, very frugal on petrol, and also very good with the emissions. Speaking of things that don't spew out too much emissions, you've got Matthew inside and he'll show you what's going on in there.
Now I'm going to try and get through this interior bit without spewing out too many words as opposed to carbon emissions. So let's start with the dashboard. Well, being a multivan, it has to be sort of funky and functional at the same time. So if you look at the top of it, you've got a nice sort of textured material up there. Plastic again. Below that you've got some more textured material, and then you've got a nice sort of chrome finish across there and some more plastic down the bottom. So they have thought about different colors and different patterns and stuff like that. So it's nice and funky from that perspective. In terms of the seats, well, they're sort of the same sort of dual tone color scheme as the outside of the car is. So if you look at the bottom, well, that's a grayish color, and then up the top you have a more cream kind of color, and they're made from a nice sort of suede material as well, and very, very soft on you, very comfortable. These two seats in the front are Volkswagen's ergonomically friendly seats, and the driver's seat also gets a massage function, so damn them. Anyway, back to the functional bit of things. In terms of cubbies, well, each door has two cubbies, one on the top, one on the bottom, and you also get a bin in each front door. You get a storage space up there, you get a good sized glove box down there, you get another storage space up here, you get a storage space over there, you have a center console there with a bin popping out, and you have a secret space for your phone in there. So all this stuff is designed really intelligently to basically keep the important things within reach and keep your phone out of reach. So some good thinking from VW there. It does feel very luxurious, and you do feel like you're driving a proper van with how high you sit. And that sort of feeling is further helped by the massive windscreen in front of you. Then, as you can see, a sunroof above. So there's never a problem with having no light in the cabin rather. Speaking of things that light up, let's take a quick look at the infotainment screen. Now, as you can see here, the touchscreen or the infotainment screen is Volkswagen's familiar unit. Now, because of the color of the car, as you can see, the background and the theme here is a nice orangey one. So, as standard, you get the screen there, and if you swipe across, you can see some more stuff like your navigation, audio, and vehicle settings. And then once more, and then you get to shortcuts for your phone and your efficiency statistics. Now, the real cool thing with the screen is when you go into the vehicle mode, you can actually see over here in the e-display how much range you have to go on fully electric or zero emission mode. So they, as you can see, 6 kilometers, which is 19% of the battery, is how much we've done so far, and we have 15 kilometers in total of range left. Now, if I go further up there and I click on the button that says data, well, I can see the total range I have in terms of petrol and fully electric efficiency, fully electric range rather. I can see the average statistics that I've been doing. And then if I click once more into status, I can see the sort of essentials about the car, and once more into vehicle, and I can change a whole bunch of things to do with the car. So there's a lot of customizability to both the interior and the exterior, as you can see. The other part of this vehicle settings screen is actually if you flick through here to the last page and you see the electric drive button there, you click on that and it takes you to a menu that says recuperation. So what that means basically is your regen braking. So if you turn that on, it'll actually take you to as close to one pedal driving as this car can possibly do. So it is quite intelligent in that sense as well. You can also have it off completely or in automatic. So there's no sort of different levels to it. It's either on or off. While we're talking about electric, actually, if you press this shortcut button over here that says mode, press that and you get this screen. So you can actually choose between driving electric only or hybrid mode. And then over there, when you press settings, you can actually dial it all the way up so that you recharge the battery while you're driving. So it does use some extra power there from the engine, but it means that you don't have to plug in once you reach home. The other cool thing with this whole setup in front here is, firstly, on the left, you can actually open both of the rear doors just by the buttons over there, and you can actually turn that feature off as well if you've got children in the back. So it is quite smart over there. Secondly, as you'll notice this thing here, and since there's no central tunnel, they have actually moved the gear shifter up here. So you flick this thing up and down and you go between the various gears and things. Because there's no central tunnel, the handbrake also has been moved, and it's a little switch down the bottom here. So the gauge clusters in front of the driver, well, there's a lot of information going on here. So let me break it down for you. Starting with the right side, well, it's analog style, so you've got your speedometer there and a digital speedo in the middle as well. This central screen, well, you can customize that to show all the sorts of different data you want. So you've got your average driving data there. And then on the left side, this orange bar here, well, that's actually the rev counter. In the middle, you've got the range, both petrol and electric. And then there's another bar on the other side to show whether you're charging up the battery or you're discharging it or using up the power. So pretty good displays there. And down the bottom, you've actually got the combined range figure for both petrol and electric. So it's always keeping you informed in terms of how far you can actually go. And if you step back for a moment and take a look at the steering wheel, well, there's a bit of a big change here, because look, they've got proper buttons here instead of the haptic stuff. So if you slide your finger along like that, it won't mess about with any of the settings. Instead, you have to actually press each button, which is a welcome change from what they were using. And if you press those buttons down the side, you can actually flick through the screen in the middle there in terms of what you want to show up, and press the right side and you can check which display you want, and similarly for the left side. So there's a lot of customization that you can do with this screen in front of you as well. Speaking of things that you can customize, well, let's jump into the middle row and move things around there. As you can see in the middle over here, well, there's oodles of space. And in terms of light, well, firstly, you have a double sunroof up top there, so plenty of light coming in to the cabin. And then these seats themselves, they are actually 25% lighter than the previous generation or the outgoing generation. And the other thing is that you can remove all of them. So if you want to go transport something or rob a house, maybe, you can actually remove all these seats and have a full cargo van back here. In terms of practicalities and storage spaces, well, firstly, remember that center console we had in the front? I can actually bring it to the rear. So if I do this and pull it all the way back here, push that, raise it up, and also I can do this. So tray tables for everyone. And there's not just tray tables in here, there's actually some behind the seats. So if I do this, well, you can actually slot a tablet there and a drink here and all the stuff to keep your kids entertained. And there's some pockets behind the seats as well. So they've thought plenty about what the passengers in the middle row might do, and frankly the rear row as well. There's charging ports all over the place for USB-C in the back as well, and the seats are really comfortable, and you can pull the armrest down and all that stuff. So it's plenty to be comfortable on a long drive, and plenty to store stuff in as well. Speaking of long drives, this is essentially a people mover, so let's move. So the new VW Multivan, well, it actually, as Dave said before, shares more with a Tiguan or a Touareg than an actual transporter this time around, which is quite a departure from how the models have been previously.
Yeah, so a passenger, well, a more people orientated, passenger orientated multivan, which is brilliant. Yet it still retains much of its, or almost all of its, well, more of its size and more of its practicality. So it's really going more for more. The big side of it is the thing that I forgot to mention earlier, which is the EV only range, which Volkswagen are claiming 50 kilometers of EV only range, which you can use on that, dial into that EV mode that Matthew showed you earlier. And I have taken it on an EV only drive, and it's pretty much bang on. It really is giving you that 50 kilometers of extra EV non-emission stuff going on, which is awesome.
Because this is the PHEV model, so it only has the 6-speed dual clutch transmission as opposed to the 7-speed one. And I've been actually really surprised, as I've told Dave, is how that 1.4 liter turbo performs pulling such a large and heavy vehicle such as this.
Yeah, it does have its drawbacks though. You can't tow anything with this. It's untow rated. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you are looking to tow anything, do have those big things at the back you need to tow, then you'll have to wait for the all-wheel drive diesel version. But for those that don't, and there is plenty of space in here, so to put everything in, like your bikes and everything, this is just fine. And it does pull nicely. We've driven obviously the all-wheel drive, the diesel version, and this pulls nicely. It doesn't hold anything up on the street.
That's right, actually. It's not, a typical family van that needs a bit of momentum to get going. It just gets going, and that in part is helped by the fact that it does have that electric power available as well.
Getting the other stuff out of the way, visibility, great. I mean, the sunroof, the massive windscreen, the quarter lights here, the visibility all around, literally there is view everywhere. And comfort, extra comfort for me because I get the massage seats, which is stuck on down the side here. But yeah, just really comfortable and easy to drive. And the weighting of the steering wheel is really nice too. It's just got enough sort of, I don't know, feel to it to make you feel like you're driving without straying all over the road, which is great.
So that is one of the up points of having, the underpinnings of a car, is the fact that it does drive like a car, and that's the handling really complements that. And the big windows, I mean, just look at the view all around. It's like having a nice lounge basically by the ocean.
And the versatility of it, I mean, I know Matthew's touched on it, well, quite a lot. Each individual seat comes out, so whereas there's no bench seat to come out from the back, they're all individual. You can just move them around. You've got the naughty seat if you want to make sure that one of your kids points the other direction and tease the other drivers coming in the other way. It's great. It's so versatile, so it can move from a cargo van to a people mover. It's also very quiet. I mean, we've got it in regen mode at the moment, so the petrol engine is going. But once you put it into hybrid or EV mode, it's just a really quiet, smooth ride, and helped by the insulation, which is all recycled materials. So your Coke can, or your Coke bottles, or your water bottles that you've been throwing away, recycled, used as sound deadening, and also in your wheel arches. So tons going on from there.
The infotainment screen has plenty to fiddle around with, but the only issue we've really had with it is the fact that none of the things light up. So all of the slidey bars, or whatever they're called.
Yeah, so your air conditioning on your slide bar or your sound stuff, he's right. At night, you're fumbling around, you just can't see it. And yeah, go on.
Yeah, and so at night time, if you want to turn the volume up, you might just turn your car into a sauna or an icebox, depending on which way you go.
And the other gripe I do have is there's no handle to jump on in. I mean, I'm not a sizable chap, well, certainly not around the height wise, and with not having a step ladder or a handle to jump up does cause a little bit of an issue. I have to use the steering wheel to pull up, and then I have been known to flick the rear wiper on, so does cause a few dramas. So there you have it, the new Volkswagen Multivan T7 that's not really a transporter, although it is a transporter of people. It's a passenger and a PHEV. There's so many P's going on in there. Look, it's much better to drive. It's a lot more car-like, and I hate using that because it's nothing like a car when you look outside. But it does drive so nicely, and just having that eco side of things, you just know that you can take your kids or other kids to school, to work, to play, whatever it is, and not be just filling up the tank all the time. You can just plug it in at home and away you go. It's you know, very efficient, very smooth, and just so much stuff to do. It is the Swiss Army knife of stuff going on. I love it.
That's right. In fact, you probably won't need to take devices along with you on long trips, because your kids will just be engaged with pulling and pushing all the various buttons and things they can explore. So there is a lot just from the car to keep them engaged.
And if anyone steps out, they can go into the naughty seat in the back. Bonus! I never have to look at them. Maybe that's the place for the wife. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. If you don't, you'll go in the naughty seat. There you go. See you on the next one.